Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another mini episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. This is a new edition of La Cuna Galaxiana. We're trying something a little bit new here, guys. With all these transfers coming at us thick and fast, we're giving you guys our instant reactions to who these new LA Galaxy players are. And as always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can find me online at El Escudero de LA, and you can find my written work at Extra Time Talk. And of course, we have my co-host, El Yerno Guapo y El Gitano Perdido, Ananda Kirana, here as well. Well, Nanda, it's silly season, and it's starting fast. Two new signings. What do you think?
Well, let's get a little primer on him before we get to what I think. But I would say my initial reactions was surprising for one, and the other one was the worst kept secret, I guess you would say. But let's get into him because I think I'll say this though: we are moving and we are shaking in for a title defense winning side. I'm pretty happy with how active we are. So quickly after our season finished, right? This is what when did we win MLS Cup, Robert? December 7th. So this is,
December
30,
7th.
so 40 some odd days after the fact. So yeah, let's get into it, man. But we are definitely Chef Kuntz is definitely cooking.
He is. He's making moves, like you said. The worst kept secret. Matthias Zanka Jorgensen was the first signing that got across the line. That one happened on 1/15. That's Wednesday, January 15th. The Galaxy made their first big signing of the window when they announced the signing of the Danish national team defender, who can also play right back, not only center back. Zanka has been signed to a 2-year contract through the end of the 2026 season. And that's, of course, he'll be added to the roster pending his international transfer certificate and P1 visa. He's 34 years old. He joins the Galaxy after making over 500 professional appearances in the top flights leagues of Belgium, Denmark, England, Germany, Netherlands, and Turkey. He made his debut for Copenhagen in the UEFA Cup in 2007, 2008. He's also represented his home country of Denmark 37 times. At full international level, he has 2 goals, one of which came against Croatia in the 2018 FIFA World Cup. This guy's a serial winner. He's won multiple leagues with Copenhagen, 5 to be exact, and then he has 5 Danish Cups as well. 5 and 5. That's not a bad little trophy haul right there. He was most recently with Anderlecht in Belgium, where he scored 1 goal, had 2 assists, and 26 appearances, and he started all but one of the 25 matches that he was available for Anderlecht. Prior to his time there in Belgium, he was with English Premier League side Brentford for 3 seasons. He had 2 goals in 48 matches played, and like I mentioned, he's made stops PSV Eindhoven, Huddersfield Town, Fenerbahce, and Fortuna Dusseldorf as well. So on paper, he looks great. Only knock against him is going to be his age. For people that are saying, that this is another aging defender on the Galaxy, duly noted. Maya is 36. So they're not. It doesn't seem like they're getting any younger. But this guy, like I mentioned, has won at the highest level. So Ananda, those are all the good things about him. The knocks on him, like we've brought you on a previous podcast, are that, and this is per Swift at FC Swift, who's a content manager at the very popular Joueur Belge account, which covers all things Belgian soccer. The pros on Zanka are that he's physically strong. He makes very good throw-ins. According to teammates, he's a leader in the dressing room. The cons, the knocks against him are, according to Swift, are that he was out of his depth in Belgium, too slow, and made unacceptable mistakes with a player of his experience. But above all, a little bit of an ego, according to Swift, obviously unsubstantiated on this side. But all those things, considering Ananda, people are saying, this is an aging center back. But I do want to counsel that this is a Martin Cáceres replacement, not a Jalen Neal replacement. So for me, a little bit too soon to tell what's what. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think on paper, what you just rattled off there, Rob, I think this is if you're considering this or if you're looking at this in the context of a Cáceres replacement, I think this is a like for like replacement, right? We're getting, it looks like a very similar type of player, very similar type of age profile, very similar experience. Remember, we're getting a former Premier League defender, Robert, and to be a defender in the Premier League, I don't care what team you are, whether you're at the top of the table or the bottom, that is one of the, I would say, highest quality leagues in the world, if not the highest, right, from top to bottom. So he's coming from a very physical, fast league. And remember, he just played there, Robert. I just pulled up a highlight of him playing Aston Villa just 9 months ago at Villa Park. So this guy has, he's seen some very, very stiff competition very recently, right? And of course, recently he just moved to the Belgian Pro League. So I think on paper, we're getting a very experienced defender. Of course, we don't have any financial details yet of this deal. So I think the big question with MLS deals is always how much. So how much is he going to, count against the salary cap? I think that's a big, big unknown factor here. I don't know what that number is, but I'm hoping that number is low enough to where we can accommodate other signings and other deals that we want to do to fit into this roster. So I think TBD on, and I would say a full grade on this move, but on paper, and I think if it's at a reasonable fee, remember we were paying Martin over 600 or so K last year. So that number's got to come well below that. And if it comes well below that, I think we have a good player on our hands here for a good contract.
Well, that was the first signing to get across the line. That was Zanka Jorgensen, who joins the LA Galaxy as of yesterday, 1:15. So welcome, Zanka, to Los Angeles. Once a G, always a G. He was pictured already at LAX, so he is in the city, and it looks like he will be available for the CVI. Ananda, I know you like relying on these stats, so tell us what you see.
Yeah, really quick before we move on. So, Rob, one of the things that I also noticed, I pulled this up on a previous episode of ours as well, but just double clicking on this, man, what type of center back are we getting? You talked about that little scouting report there that you pulled up from that fella. I forgot his name already, but the guy that Swift, the guy that actually watches him on a week-to-week basis. But if you look at these stats, man, we've talked about it before, but I saw this in the highlight too against Aston Villa, which is really interesting. He just pops in the box. Like, I don't know what it is, and maybe it's the tactics of the coach. I don't know if we're going to use him in that capacity, but he's always popping in and around that penalty yard area, Rob, for some reason. Although it's interesting, I don't think he's known for his aerial ability. If you look at the percentage of aerials won, he is pretty low in that regard. So that's not a strength of his. So we're going to have to counteract that with his center back partner or fullbacks like Julian Audi that have height that can clear the ball, right? But in terms of pass completion, he progresses the ball really, really well out of the back. Robert, he sees progressive passes and progressive carries, 82 and 86 percentile there. If you look at compared to other center backs, with a similar profile to him. So, man, I think those are, and now think about this, Rob, and the way that Greg Vanney likes to progress the ball in the back, possession-based system, right? From the goalkeeper all the way to the front. Being in the front foot, not being a counterattacking team, but being a progressive team on the ball. I think this is the type of center back. I'm pretty sure Will Kuntz, Mikel Dencher, Greg Vanney all sat together and said, look, these are the progressive ball playing abilities that I want out of my center back. And the fact that Mikel Dencher already had a previous relationship with him at Copenhagen, on top of, Rob, something we haven't talked about, which is character. Remember, Will Kuntz and team are always judging these guys, new signings, on character, right? Are they good players in the locker room? Do they have sort of that team spirit that we're looking for as to be an LA Galaxy in this current version of the team? So I think all those things, man, I'm pretty sure that those things tick the box, and we have a good center back on our hands and a leader in the locker room.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Mikel Dencher has familiarity with the player, and he must see something in his, like you said, ball playing abilities that made him a high profile target for the Galaxy here. Now that Zanka's over the line, assuming that Maya Yoshida and Eric Zavaleta do resign with the Galaxy. And of course, Maya Yoshida was listed as an LA Galaxy player today in a press release for the relief efforts at Dodger Stadium going down tomorrow on 1/17. So, per the press release, he is an LA Galaxy player. So that tells me that even though things haven't been announced, negotiations must have gone well. But assuming those signings did get across the line, Maya and Zavaleta, that gives you a stable of Maya Yoshida, Amiro Garces, Zanka Jorgensen, and Eric Zavaleta as your center backs. Grade that center back rotation, Ananda.
I'm probably giving it like a B minus, Rob. And you know what? I'm trying to like fulcrum it into something, but here's the thing. Here's a question I'm going to throw back to you, which is, which has the better back line, last year or this year? Remember last year we had Jalen Neal, Maya Yoshida, Martin Cáceres, Emi Garces, right? Which we acquired him, I want to say midseason. I could be wrong about that.
Halfway.
And Zabaleta. So that's I think is the more interesting question. Which backline would you rather have? And that's a close one, man. That is a close one because remember, Jalen Neal is a baller, right? So I don't know. Who would you rather have?
I'd probably rather have last year's at the moment, but it's just because we don't know the financials on Zanka. We don't really know how he's going to fit in. So yeah, it remains to be seen. And for me, it really just does seem like they need at least one more center back just in case. We have brought up Diego Bagui. I was able to get in touch with the player's father today, who I had incorrectly stated as his representative. Apparently, he is not his representative. He did let me know that Diego has a representative or an agent. He did let me know that there is nothing formal, that he does have his representative, and nobody has approached his representative formally, even though that there have been some talks here and there with certain teams. So no official offers for Diego Bagui. And that's per the player's father. So it does seem like they need one more center back, but they did add another person to their back line. The Galaxy add another goalkeeper. Welcome to the LA Galaxy, James Thomas Marcinkowski, otherwise known as JT. The Galaxy today announced that the club had signed the free agent goalkeeper to a 2-year contract through the end of 2026 with the club option for 2027. The 27-year-old joins the Galaxy after having made 96 appearances, 95 of those being starts, across all competitions in 5 seasons for the northern rivals San Jose Earthquakes. Will Kuntz, who's the man behind the strings, the chef pulling, making the soup here, he says, "We are excited to add JT to our LA Galaxy goalkeeping core. He has a wealth of experience in MLS, much of that coming from competing against the Galaxy in numerous Cali Clasico matchups during his time with the San Jose Earthquakes. He will provide valuable competition and depth at the goalkeeping position as we embark on this upcoming season." I want to pull out that quote. He will provide valuable competition and depth at the goalkeeping position. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Marcinkowski missed the entirety of the 2024 season due to injury. He did a number on his knee, Ananda. He tore the anterior cruciate ligament, posterior cruciate ligament, and medial collateral ligament in his right knee. So he's had a way back. And so congratulations to him for even making his way back. In his last full season, 2023, he posted 4 shutouts and held a 1.22 goals against average in 13 appearances for San Jose. In that season, he did lose his starting spot to goalkeeper Daniel. But surprisingly enough, their goals against average were very similar. JT is a California native, so that makes him a homegrown product of the Earthquakes and an academy product. So the Galaxy pull off a coup here, picking up an academy player here from a rival. His first professional campaign was 2018, posted 1 shutout and 5 appearances for San Jose, and he spent the rest of the time with USL Championship side Reno 1868. It looks like this is a pretty good keeper, Nanda. I mean, he has a some upside. I mean, he's 27 still, but I don't feel like you've really gotten the full potential of Marcinkowski here. He has represented the United States at youth level at the U18, U20, and U23. And he was on the bench for the U.S. men's national team in an international friendly against El Salvador. So, like I mentioned, I didn't want to pull out that quote because the big question here is now that you have JT Marcinkowski here, now that you have Mikovic, now that you have John McCarthy, who's the odd man out, right? So, Ananda, I guess that's the question for you. What does this mean for the goalkeeping rotation?
Well, I'm going to answer that question, Rob, with kind of what I'm seeing in the stats. And I think this is going to maybe, I guess, provide a lot for us and also for chat and everyone in the comments to noodle on after. But guys, go ahead. Rob just posed a question. What does that do to the goalkeeper rotation? Go ahead and put that in the comments as well. Who do you think is going to be both the starting keeper for the season and also who is going to end the season, which I think is a more interesting question. But I pulled this up, Rob, and I want you to noodle on this, which is this is a overlay comparison from FBref for John McCarthy and JT Marcinkowski. Of course, this is from Marcinkowski's last season because he was injured all of 2024, so it's the 2023 season. And really interesting, man. I think the thing that pops out to me is number one, if you look at, remember, we always talk about John McCarthy, always be throwing, right? If you look at the pass completion pass completion percentage launch, that's below there. His line is much higher than John McCarthy's, right?
Right.
And here's the other thing: crosses stop percentage also much higher. So which means what? He's more commanding in the box, right? But the other thing is that we know, of course, John McCarthy is a very, very good shot stopper. You look at those post shot XG minus goals against. That's the number one metric that I grade a keeper on, which, if you guys aren't aware, that is basically the number of goals that a keeper prevents, right? So that's a huge thing for goalkeepers. Marcinkowski isn't that far behind him, Rob. So I think the interesting thing for me is, again, we've talked about this a few times last season, which is Vanny likes to play out of the back, and he likes a ball-playing goalkeeper to spring attacks, right? And to, especially when we get pressured, I remember in the MLS Cup final, every time we got pressurized, we'd have to kick it long. And so maybe Greg is looking for an added edge in that department, a better ball-playing goalkeeper that's not only a decent shot stopper, but can play the ball behind his feet with his feet. So going back to the rotation question, look, I think the reality is John McCarthy, I think it's his place to lose. I'm going to frame it that way. But if he slips up, man, I think Mitrovic and Marcinkowski are right behind him, Papa, right behind him. And I think, but I think for now it's McCarthy's to lose.
Yeah, I mean, three keepers that really you have no drop off from. I mean, if you don't go with John McCarthy and you go with Mikovic, you have a fine shot stopper, a goalkeeper that can play with his feet. And ostensibly, from what you say about and what we see from his stats, Marcinkowski can do the same. Pretty reliable shot stopper, good playing out of the back with his feet, and throwing and launching and springing those attacks. So it'll be interesting to see, like you mentioned, who ends the season as a starting goalkeeper.
One thing that I do. Go ahead. Sorry.
Brady Scott probably is the odd man out here, probably going down to VCFC. So
now the only thing I was going to say was two things that we got to consider. One is I think McCarthy wins out in terms of the experience. Remember, Rob, he's a multiple MLS Cup winning goalkeeper. You can't trade that experience for any other stat or ability or skill. He's a clear leader in the locker room. And number two, Marcinkowski is coming from a very serious injury. I'm wondering now if he's still in that rehabilitation process. How quickly is he going to get up to speed? And is he going to be that same keeper in 2023? So I think those things we got to keep in context as we judge sort of what happens to the rotation.
Definitely. You mean, is he going to be the same keeper that he was in 2023?
Right. Before the injury.
Right. Yeah, that's a nasty injury. I mean, it's something that we've brought up in terms of Ricky with the ACL. I mean, is he going to be the same explosive player? And Marcinkowski, I mean, didn't only do his ACL. I mean, he did 3 different things in his knee. But we'll that's going to be one of the things we keep an eye on in the CVI. Keep watching this goalkeeper battle. We had a goalkeeper battle in the CVI last year, and it looks like we have a new one. So those are the two rumors. Sorry, those are the two transfers that we have for sure over the line for the LA Galaxy. Matthias Jorgensen joining the back line, and JT Marcinkowski joining the goalkeeper pool. The other worst kept secret for the LA Galaxy is the signing of Lucas Sanabria. We have reported that that one is pretty much done. Per the vice president of Nacional, who said that the Galaxy offered 5, they asked for 6. And they finally ended on 5. Sorry about that. They asked for 5. The Galaxy offered 4.5, and they ended on 5. And then they retain 20% of that sell-on clause. So it looks like Lucas Sanabria is not going to be coming in for that 7 million or 8 million that was reported. It looks like it's 5, which means the Galaxy might still have some money to play with. So that one is not over the line yet, but no official announcement. But we do feel really good about that one getting done here rather quickly. Yes, Ananda?
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing we gotta just watch out for is incentives, right? I'm sure there's some performance incentives in there, so it could be up to the region of so and so, 7 million, however the original number. The other thing too is like you said, there is a 20% sell-on clause for Nacional. That's something that the Galaxy have done recently too, which is really nice, right? Like these sell-on percentages. I think that's super smart to keep in contracts.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
Hey man, I wouldn't be mad at them starting to insert some buyback clauses in these contracts as well. It would have been
Right.
great for Jalen Neal's contract on selling him to Montreal. But LA Galaxy fans, that's what we have for you. Welcome to Los Angeles to Zanka Jorgensen. Welcome to Los Angeles to JT Marcinkowski. And hopefully very soon we'll be able to bring you the news that Lucas Sanabria is an LA Galaxy player, official, and we can go ahead and celebrate his signing. Ananda, what do you have for us in terms of a depth chart at the moment, not including Sanabria? Or
Yes.
including Sanabria, actually.
Yes. Yeah. So before we sign off, definitely we're gonna answer this for you guys. The last thing, just as our little sign off, but go ahead and put this in the comments as well. But guys, based off of the moves that you're seeing so far, and I'm gonna pull the depth chart up right now. Based off of, let's assume that also Yoshida and Zavaleta will sign. Go ahead and give us a grade for the Galaxy's transfer window. Go ahead and put it in the comments. But I put the depth chart here on the screen. Let me know your thoughts. What would you grade? Let's put it this way. Give me a grade for, let's assume that Yoshida and Zavaleta haven't signed yet, and then give me a grade for assuming that Yoshida, Zavaleta are signed yet. I'm going to assume that Sanabria is done and dusted. So that's why he is not an asterisk in the chart.
Yeah, I'm giving it a C right now. I just don't see where they're gonna make up the production from Ricky Puig, and until they kind of find a way to at least plug that hole, loan a player, get some production from somewhere. I'm still giving it a C, but it's incomplete so far. The Gabriel Pecky and Joseph Paintsel signings came at the tail end, if not after the CVI. So there's still a little bit of time for the Galaxy to do work. But yeah, we want to hear from you guys out there in Galaxylandia what you're giving the LA Galaxy's transfer window as things currently stand with this capture of Zanka, with this capture of Marcinkowski, and by all intents and purposes with the reported capture of Lucas Sanabria. Ananda, anything else to add before we get on out of here?
Nope, just the fact that I think it's a little harsh, and I'm giving a little higher grade for the Galaxy's transfer window, probably like a B minus. But remember, I think the biggest thing to watch out for, guys, here too, is last thing is Jovalic. Look, I think the fact that we're keeping him, I think that bumps it up for me from a C to like a B minus, right? But if he goes, I'm right there with you, Papa, because I don't know who we're going to replace him with, right? So I think that's a big thing. But look, we have our 2 DPs, and honestly, Jovalic to me, his production is like a DP. So I'm counting him as a DP, right? And if we retain him, I think we replace the players that we lost, which is a big thing. And I think, and yeah, like I said, I think, look, I would say if we got Diogo Bagui, man, that's a good transfer window. That bumps it up like half a grade, But yeah, I think you're being a little harsh. That's my opinion.
I mean, I don't think so. I still don't see how we're replacing that Ricky Pooch production. But that is another conversation for another time. Thank you so much for listening to this special breakaway episode of La Cuna Galaxiana Transfer Edition. Welcome to these three new Gs that are joining the Galactic constellation here. If you're here with us, it's because you found us at youtube.com/at La Cuna Galaxiana. Thank you so much for doing so. Please go ahead and like and subscribe this channel. We do appreciate any help you can give us. Go ahead and put someone on. Let your Theo know, let your Tia know to subscribe to this channel. We would love you forever for it. I think there's nothing else to say. So we're gonna say LA strong, LA Galaxy are champions, and G's up.